Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Grossman Files. Hey, we got a great one for you today. Yes. We got an awesome one for you today. In fact, today is the first official video using my new material. Yes. I know I said I was going to save it, and I am saving the best of it for whoever from a major network wants to come my way. But I got some stuff that I wanted to get out as soon as possible. Why? Well, because it vindicates our work. And what are we talking about today? We are talking about Riverdale was next. So as we walk here under the Henry Hudson Parkway, we can see the location here where about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago now, freaking bus overran this and destroyed the top of this retaining wall. Beautiful retaining wall. Let me go over here and look at it. Very old, and I guarantee you this will never be fixed. New York City will never fix this. So anyhow, welcome guys. It's kind of a windy day, but yet it is warm enough at the end of January to wear my denim jacket, and I am in a good mood because of that. Yes. And of course it feels good to be vindicated. So what are we talking about here? Well, some of y'all out there in Son of Sam land may remember that I did a video, about a year ago now. Maybe even more, actually, more than a year ago now, where I posited the question, was Riverdale next? I'm watching my ass here because this is very dangerous streets here, roads, in terms of cars and whatnot. So we'll kind of take you along the same route that we did on that one here in Spite and Dibble section of Riverdale, because this is actually the area in which, unbeknownst to me, but this was the area in which David Berkowitz preyed upon this particular spot in Riverdale, particularly Palisade Avenue, which we will come to soon. Of course, last year's video was titled Was Riverdale Next? It was a question, and today's video is Riverdale was next. And I have a little bit of information from my new stash of material that is not only going to prove it, but it's going to prove a lot of other things about this case too. So the first video that I did a year ago, Was Riverdale Next, was basically based around a couple of pieces of material that I had found. Well, first was this really weird letter that they say they found in Berkowitz's car talking about, oh yeah, Riverdale, I almost forgot about you. You've made me very angry. So kiss my ass and motherfuck all y'all bitches. Son of Sam. Well, the only issue is that that's not a Son of Sam letter. I don't know who the hell made up that decision. Excuse me. I don't know who the hell said that was a Son of Sam letter, but it doesn't have Berkowitz's handwriting. It's not in his tone of voice. And also, did people say, I'm gonna motherfuck all you bitches back in 1976, 77? I don't know, I don't think so. But, you know, sometimes you come across these things, they're mistakes or they're errors, and it doesn't matter, they get you thinking. So I posited in Was Riverdale Next about the Klausner, about Riverdale being a target because of, according to Lawrence Klausner in his book 44, The Unauthorized Transcripts, Berkowitz would come to Riverdale often and drive around and drive these streets and whatnot. As we see here, the beautiful, this is called the Villa Charlotte Bronte. I think this is the Villa Charlotte Bronte. This might be known as something else though. But it's these really cool like townhouses that overlook the river. You can see the river down. It's hard to see in this, but the Riverdale's down there. Here, I'll go over here, show you guys what we're talking about. So we're now on Palisade Avenue, 2501 Palisade Avenue. And so today's video, we're gonna get pretty deep into this. We're going to see some documents. We're gonna cross-reference back to some old documents. But the reason why I'm on Palisade is because, I met a woman. Some of you might remember we did a whole expose on the alleged murder of Alfred Hunt Howell, who people thought was Mr. Real Estate in Son of Sam story, in Maury Terry's Son of Sam story. And so during the Alfred Hunt Howell murder case, which of course took place on Palisade Avenue in Riverdale in 1996, and allegedly committed by a childhood friend of mine named Nikolai Aman, during that whole, it was windy today, during that whole video series we did on Alfred Hunt Howell, I met a lot, in the Seton Park Dome, I met a lot of old school Riverdalians. And of course, Son of Sam always came up because that's what I was known for. And so I met a woman, not gonna give you her name because she didn't want me to put her name out there. And I know it sounds like a man's voice. I was actually shocked when I first spoke to this person, because I was like, I seen pictures of you. You look like a woman, but your voice sounds like a man's. Anyway, I didn't. Ooh, this is nice little display here. Dogwood and spruce or fir. These are all, of course, all just sticks. They're dead. They're not alive. But this is what people do in New York during the winter. So I met a woman who swore up and down that she was standing right here on Palisade Avenue in front of 2621, which is this building right here. The second one, the one that you see, that one, in front of 2621 in the summer of '77. And she swore up and down that David Berkowitz drove up. She said it was a white car and got out. In fact, why even bother? Let's have her tell the story, shall we?
So, living on Palisade Avenue, my friend Barry and I, we got dressed in my apartment, and we were leaving to go out, hang out, like in the hitching post in Manhattan. Mm-hmm. So as we're going out of the house, this big tan sedan pulls up by the fire hydrant right outside my driveway in Palisade Avenue. Mm-hmm. And I go, oh, my God. Oh, he got out with a paper bag in his hand. I go, oh, my God, that's him. So we, instead of running back into the building, we figured, you know, when you're young, you think your guy friends are more tougher than running back in the building. Right. So we ran towards them hanging out at the park over there. We go, it's him, Summer of Sam, David Berkowitz, whoever this crazy nut is, the killer. He's going to get us. That was him. They're like, eh. So we stopped the cop car, and we told the cops. He goes, does he look like this? And he showed us the mugshot, or whatever it was, that drawing they had him. Mm-hmm. I go, no, he looks nothing like that, which he didn't. And then they said, does he have a Volkswagen, I think maybe they thought he had? I said, no, it's a big tan sedan. So later on, when they caught him, my father was a cop. When they caught him, the detective that was on that told my father, your daughter's a very lucky person, because he had, like, I guess, drawings or whatever of the next people he was going to get, mm-hmm. and our description was in there. So if you remember, when they busted him, it was all over the news, and we didn't have caller waiting then. Mm-hmm. So me and my friend are trying to call each other, oh, my God, look, that was really him, and it was. We're like, holy shit. The cops were wrong. It was a tan sedan. We were right.
Yeah, of course. Whoa, when was this exactly? Do you remember what date and month?
Oh my! It had to be during the summer, because it was
Of what year?
77, because it was
summer of '77. Was it close to school starting?
No, it wasn't. No. Mm-mm.
Anyway,
and that was in Palisades Avenue.
Well, yes, 2621.
So yeah, this took place right here, right in front of this building, 2621 Palisade. Probably right around here, they were hanging out. And I don't know exactly where it was, but you heard the story. And of course, you know, who knows? Was it true or was it not? We were positing, and was Riverdale next? Just positing the question, theorizing it. Well, guys, I got some updated and new information for you. Yes, that only you will see here on the Grossman Files, which allows us to confidently say that Riverdale was indeed next. So, okay, what are we talking about? Well, one of the things I was able to hook up was Berkowitz's initial psychiatric intake report when he was first arrested. And the first person he spoke to were the psychiatrists at Kings County Psychiatric, where he was held in maximum prison lockup. And it's actually a 10-page document. And it's very detailed, not only about his history, about his motivations, but it also talks about the crimes, where he describes all the crimes in detail. And it also diagnoses him. So I have Berkowitz's official diagnosis. And we're only gonna let out one paragraph out of this 9 pages in today's video. That's how dense this document is, which again, nobody's ever seen before, and which is exclusive to the Grossman Files. So let's just read it. So remember, guys, before I pull this out, I posited that Riverdale was next. I posited that Riverdale was next based on that erroneous letter that they said they found in his car, which just got me thinking about the topic, that's all. And then, of course, Klausner's book, where he talks all about driving around Riverdale and going to Riverdale Park. Now, as I spoke about in the first video, was Riverdale next? The Klausner book has a lot of issues, a lot of problems in that book. It's not really super accurate in terms of, they attribute quotes to Berkowitz that are clearly made up. They get locations wrong. It's just an all-around kind of a strange book, but at least it's directionally accurate, unlike Maury Terry's book, which is just complete horseshit from start to finish, starting with Arliss Perry and ending with Billy the Artist. But so I posited that Riverdale was next because of Klausner's book, and of course I posited that Riverdale was a target because I actually had first-hand eyewitness testimony, as you just heard. But all that's great. Doesn't get me any closer to the truth. It was literally just a theory that I had. But here's a spot actually on Berkowitz's fire logs, which I want to talk about a little bit more as well. The 231st and Palisade Avenue. This is in his fire log. Let me get a better picture of it. He also had 247th. He also had 247th and Palisade, but we're not gonna walk that far. I don't have any specific time limit on this video, but I don't think I'll have enough to say to get us from 231st to 247th. Anyway, so those three things were cool, right? They were cool to get me to that hypothesis location, but that's where it sat for over a year until I got the document of the psychiatric intake report, which again, you're never gonna find, you're never gonna be able to FOIA, you're never gonna get it. I'm the only person on earth that has it, and that will continue to be that way. Why? Because we're the only Son of Sam game in town. This is the only one that matters. So I'm gonna dip into the woods and we'll just see how far we go. So of course the Riverdale woods here for me Those of you who have been with me since the start, this is somewhat familiar territory for you. I don't get here often on Walk and Talks because Riverdale, although it did play a part in Son of Sam, as we're going to learn. Boy, I'm really teasing you guys, aren't I? I'm sure you're like, Manny, get to the effing document already. Don't worry, we'll get there. So Riverdale Park, of course, and these were my woods. This was my stomping grounds as a kid. This is where I first got all my love of the woods. This is where I learned my love of nature, in addition to other spots, but definitely here. My love of water bodies, like the Hudson River, was always a great place for me to hang out with my friends. Back when we were, I started coming down here when I was about 9 years old. In fact, I made out with the first girl I ever kissed was down here in these woods, not too far from where I am now. Back at I'll never forget, the last day of second grade. Me and Eddie Martinez, Barbara Scapinelli, and Rachel Goldstein went down to the woods and played Truth or Dare, where we had all sorts of fun. That was I'll never forget that. It was great. So anyway, so Riverdale Woods, my stomping ground. Super windy today. I don't even know if this video is going to come out properly, but Riverdale was next. So let's read this. So this is on page 6 of the document, talking about the night he was arrested. Okay, let me just sit down and we'll get this going. It's not a very long paragraph, but it's enough to vindicate the Grossman Files and make us realize that Riverdale was in fact next. The night of his apprehension, August 10th, he set out on a routine check, planning to make, quote, a sweep of Riverdale, unquote. He knew from the low pressure of the demons that a killing was not essential, that it would be a dull night. If it had been a good night, the demons would not have tolerated any interference, meaning his arrest. So let's talk about that. The night of his arrest, he was leaving to go to Riverdale. He had a freaking paper bag with the 44 in his hand. Just like my contact said, got out of his car with a paper bag.
Got out with a paper bag.
And we know that he was arrested carrying the 44 in a bag. He walked out of his apartment with it. So here we have from his psychiatric intake report a paragraph that nobody in Son of Sam history has ever seen before, which of course validates and vindicates our theory that Riverdale was next. It turns out that Riverdale was next. And for those of you who want to talk about, oh, the NYPD, they're corrupt, they were in on it. The process owned Abe Beam with David Heppenstall and Ronald Spychala, Suzanne Conway. I mean, are you out of your mind? The NYPD saved somebody in Riverdale that night. Yeah, I know he says it was a low pressure night. The demons weren't that heavy to him. But we don't know that he wasn't going to go out and shoot somebody, right? And also, the fact that Palisade Avenue is all up in his fire logs, his alleged fire logs, I want to talk about that as well, is very telling. Palisade Avenue was a hunting ground for David Berkowitz. Palisade Avenue is right up there where those trailers are. They're doing some work on one of these pumping stations, water pumping stations, or electrical substation, I'm not quite sure which. So this area here of Riverdale, which is connected to Yonkers physically, you just drive right from Riverdale into Yonkers, and it's the same exact part of Yonkers where Berkowitz lived. Riverdale ends up in the northwest section of Yonkers. If you just keep on going straight on Riverdale Avenue, turns into Warburton Avenue. Palisade Avenue was his hunting grounds. He had on his fire log 2 places on Palisade Avenue. Now, What are these fire logs? I'm telling you right now that the Berkowitz did not light 1,500 fires. I doubt he even lit 100. Those fire logs were nothing more than a cover for him to go out and scout shooting locations. I'm convinced of it. And I'm going to be vindicated on that eventually too, I'm sure. Berkowitz had in his fire log, just a couple weeks before the shooting of Moskowitz and Violante in Brooklyn, he was on that street 4 blocks away, scouting. It was a cover, right? He used that as a way to see where were good shooting locations. But if a cop would find it, if they stopped him, it would just be like, oh, I'm like a fire buff. I'm just obsessed with fire call locations. I'm convinced of it, that the fire logs were shooting scouts. And Palisade Avenue's on it twice. The area right near where Lomino and Damasi were shot was on it. Violante Moskowitz was on it. Palisade Avenue was on it. And now, of course, we have absolute vindication, total confirmation that the actual night that he was arrested, Maury Terry would have you believe that he knew the cops were downstairs, that he had been tipped off beforehand that the cops were on their way, and that he was just setting everything up to be arrested in his car. You just read that he was going out to do a sweep of Riverdale. How many sweeps of Riverdale did this guy do? That's the question I'd like to answer. So there's like a whole area of research about Berkowitz that's completely untapped. And I think people, instead of worrying about Barry Dosenko and Stephen Trackman and John Carr's involvement in the process, which again you'll be doing the rest of your life with, and you'll be no closer to the truth because it's a fantasy. It's cool to have fantasies. I have them too. I had a fantasy of being a famous rock drummer. It didn't come true. It was a fantasy. I recognize it as such. So the fantasies of process involvement, if that's where you want to spend your time, that's cool, but there's a whole area of new and exciting research to be done on all of these old documents. We can still ask this guy, yo, what was up with these fire logs? As we look at the beautiful Riverdale woods. So I have to say, it feels really good to be vindicated. It's good to, for this hobby of mine that I've sort of dedicated my recent few years of my life to. It's good to know that I've come up with conclusions based on the work that we did that are actually real and truthful. It feels good that we're the only Son of Sam research group ever to actually find a new victim and get them counted as such within NYPD. I mean, Maury Terry could only dream of doing that. And the reason why, it was because the cops thought he was crazy. Everyone talks about Maury, oh yeah, he had law enforcement behind. No, he didn't. They thought he was nuts. The only people he had behind him were like other friends on the NYPD who, quite frankly, were either just as stupid as he was. I don't know what the deal was. But we're going to learn more about his history with Joseph Basteri. I have some interesting documents relating to Basteri and what he was doing during Son of Sam. So the story still has yet to be written, and we're writing it every day. So I don't really think I have too much more to say. Just like as I've been liking to do lately, I will just let the camera run for a minute while I think to see if I'm actually really done or not. So the Riverdale woods are just like the Van Cortlandt Park woods, just like the just like the Untermeyer Park woods. This is about as typical as it gets. Look at all those plant roots, stones, boulders everywhere. Not particularly here, but guarantee if you were to dig, you'd come up with a lot of boulders and whatnot. But you can't bury bodies here. Yeah, these people have fantasies of Untermeyer Park. And they're quite sick fantasies too, because it revolves around dead children. I mean, I don't sit around and think about dead children as a matter of course, but Maury Terry fans do. I find that strange, especially since there weren't any dead children. So they're like fantasizing about a thing that never existed. And the thing that never existed is like a sick thing to fantasize about. I mean, that's spiritual sickness right there. Oh, let's obsess about dead kids who were trafficked by Ace the Hinge Brown. I mean, it's a fool's game. Look what I just did with one paragraph and some knowledge about the case. We've just come to a new understanding. However insignificant or significant it is, it doesn't matter. This video is the opening shot of 2025, where we truly get a new understanding of the Son of Sam case. All right, guys, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.